All right, let's talk about a story that really gets you thinking. It's about a young guy named George who is so stuck, so desperate to escape his life that he tells a lie. A pretty big one, actually. And that lie just spirals and spirals, but in a way that, surprisingly, might just be the thing that saves him.
So this whole story really boils down to this one single question. Can a lie actually set you free? Now, for our main character, George, this isn't just some philosophical thought experiment. It's about to become his entire reality.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in a working-class neighborhood during one of those brutally hot, sticky summers where everything feels slow. And that's where we meet George Stoyanovich. He's almost 20, and his life has, well, completely stalled out.
You see, George is trapped. And it's not just that his family's apartment is small and cramped. No, he's trapped in this kind of prison he's built for himself. He's just paralyzed by shame, basically watching the world go by from his window, feeling like he's been totally left behind.
So here's the breakdown of George's situation. He dropped out of high school when he was 16, he's got no job, no money, spends his days just hiding out in his room reading old magazines. But underneath all that shame and failure is this one thing he wants more than anything else. He just wants people to respect him.
And that desire for respect, that is what leads to the lie. It all starts on one of those hot summer nights with a totally random encounter that, believe me, is going to change everything for him.
So George bumps into this guy, Mr. Catanzara. He's this quiet, respected figure in the neighborhood. You know the type. He reads the New York Times every single night, so he just seems like he knows what's going on in the world. And he asks George this really simple question. So, what are you doing with yourself this summer? And you can just feel the panic set in for George.
So faced with the absolute shame of admitting he's doing nothing, George just blurts out a lie. It's this impulsive, desperate attempt to create a different version of himself, a version that's actually worthy of Mr. Catanzara's respect.
But Mr. Catanzara, he's interested. He's like, oh, really? Tell me more. And instead of backing down, George, he digs the hole deeper, way deeper. He doesn't just say he's reading a few books. Oh, no. He claims he's doing something almost impossible.
100 books. Yeah, in one summer. I mean, it's such a wild claim, it's almost funny. But it's a number that's designed to impress, to command respect. And you know what? It works.
So, the lie is out there. And what starts as this small, impulsive way to save face, it quickly blows up into something so much bigger, with consequences George absolutely could not have seen coming.
And the change is immediate. It's like a switch flips. Suddenly, he's not invisible anymore. His neighbors are smiling and greeting him. Even his sister Sophie, who's always on his case, starts giving him $1 a week for pocket money. He's literally walking taller. This lie feels way more powerful than the truth ever did.
This feeling of respect, even though he hasn't earned it, it's like a drug. And George is totally addicted. He starts taking pride in himself, cleaning the apartment, actually enjoying his life, all of it built on this complete and total lie.
But you know how it goes. That high doesn't last forever. The lie that was his source of comfort, well, it starts to feel really, really heavy. And the fear of being found out just starts to eat away at him.
He basically becomes a fugitive in his own neighborhood. He's constantly looking over his shoulder, terrified he's going to run into the one person who knows his secret. Every time he sees Mr. Catanzara, it's this awful reminder that the big question is just hanging out there. So, read any good books lately?
So you can just imagine how this plays out over the summer, right? At first, he's on top of the world. Then this anxiety starts creeping in. He can't even read a magazine without feeling like a fraud. His world gets smaller and smaller until one night, he runs out of places to hide.
And then it happens. He's cornered by a drunk Mr. Catanzara, who, even though he's tipsy, has this laser-like clarity. And he asks the one question George has been dreading. George, name me one book. Just one.
And in that single moment, boom, the whole thing just shatters. His entire carefully built world just crumbles. He has no answer. He's completely, utterly exposed.
But right when George is bracing for the final humiliating blow, Mr. Catanzara does something totally unexpected. Instead of shame, he offers grace. He looks at George and sees a piece of himself, and he gives him a warning, a plea, really. Don't do what I did. And those words just echo in George's head.
So, the jig is up. The lie is exposed. The real question is, what now? Does George just retreat back into his room forever, completely defeated? Or
Could this rock-bottom moment, actually be the start of something real?
Well, his first instinct is to hide. I mean, he literally locks himself in his room for almost a week. It's sweltering hot, his family is upset, and he just sits in his own shame. He has absolutely hit rock bottom.
But here's the crazy part. When he finally can't take the heat anymore and stumbles outside, bracing for everyone to laugh at him, nothing happens. The neighbors are still friendly. He realizes Mr. Catanzara never told anyone. He kept his secret. He gave him a second chance.
And that is the real turning point. That one act of grace. Fueled by this weird mix of deep shame and incredible gratitude, George finally breaks free. He doesn't just walk. The story says he ran. He has a purpose now.
He's finally going to make the lie true. He walks into the library, this place he's avoided for years, and he's surrounded by books. He literally counts out 100 of them, that impossible number, and for the very first time, he sits down to actually do the work.
So we leave him there, right at the beginning. The lie almost destroyed him, but in a weird, roundabout way, it ended up setting him free. He's got 100 books in front of him, a totally fresh start, and a chance to become the person he only pretended to be. It just makes you wonder, what's the very first book he's going to pick up?